You ever chased a woman, you know that women have a certain power, a certain sexual thing that renders men totally incapable of functioning.
So listen, I know you wanted to recap the Chivalry episode.
Oh yeah, what's up? Come on, Bucko. Come on, Bucko. Step in the room. Step in the room so we can talk about this. Come on. Come on.
So now you got, so understand though that Chivalry that episode came from a real place. You know what I'm saying? It came from a real, so we ain't gonna rehash that.
Yes, and we have grown since then, and we have been doing so wonderful.
Oh, we can rehash. We can rehash.
No, we can't rehash. We have grown. Life is about evolution.
We've grown, but you have to, in order to see where you're going.
Oh, we got to record it.
Where you been?
but hey, so I can't think of the guy's name who actually left a comment on the podcast.
Oh yeah, him. We appreciate your comment, sir.
I think his name was Josh something. It was Josh something.
Yeah, so he went in. He went in on that comment, man. Like,
right, and he ain't even nobody's friend, so he was really looking.
Listen, no.
Yes, he was going through something at home that day. He was going through something at home.
I appreciate him because he expressed how he felt,
right?
And but I'm glad King is going to look at that because I want him to read it. I do want to read it. I want to get his comments on the comment that was left on there because it was very, very interesting what he said about Chivalry.
It was a rant. It was a shameless rant, and he should be ashamed.
It wasn't
whatever.
Why did he
wasn't shameless? He was going through that day at his house that morning. It was evident. Brother man was upset. Chivalry.
You going for him. You really digging for him. Digging for him.
So basically, the dude was saying he was talking about where Chivalry came from.
Okay, I see it.
Right.
Oh my God! Right? He was so serious. Well, technically, Chivalry comes from
the Spanish Latin word chivalry.
Chivalry it derives from, and it meant.
But the blessing of all of that is he watched it to be able to tell us all of it. So thank you, brother Josh.
What's his name, Josh?
Was it really Josh?
I don't know.
Wow.
All right, I found it. I got it. Chivalry. Wow. His name was Jonathan, whatever. I'm not going to put him on blast. It was a J. So Jay said, chivalry was a code of ethics and morals expected of horsemen soldiers in the medieval 12th to 13th century, such as protecting and defending one's country from invasion, defending the weak, giving to the poor. It has nothing to do with holding the door and paying for dates. Modern women are entitled little children. Y'all are strong and independent feminists. So help yourselves.
Mic drop.
Jonathan, okay? Because I just dropped my phone and I just bought it. All right?
Them words
Jonathan,
mic
whatever.
Drop.
I hope you watch this episode. I'm going to tag you in the comments, all right? Like,
I'm gonna find his IG. I'm gonna get him.
I'm gonna say this, and I mean this with all sincerity. First of all, let's just be here. Who has that knowledge in the back of their mind? And just, I'm going to use this for a time such as this to let y'all know where the word chivalry, first of all, derived from. A lot of things derive from different things. Let's be clear. Chivalry deriving from something else given to the poor. Chivalry is not necessarily holding the door open for a woman. It's respect and honor. Just like the Bible talks about man who findeth a wife findeth a good thing. That also goes back to a virtuous woman. A husband rises up and call her blessed. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not necessarily about holding the door, because a lot of women that I know, including myself, my mother has always taught me, have your own, love your own, and get your own.
Right.
It hasn't been about opening a door. The fact that I have 2 hands, thank God, 2 feet, I can open my own door. I can do all of those things. But it's the man who does those things that it's not to say that you can't. It's not a control thing. It's not to put where it derived from to rest, but it's just out of respect and love. And adoration.
It's the respect and it's the consideration to stop and just do something. I came home today. Perfect example. My dad and my brother were outside waxing my brother's car. I had just finished grocery shopping. I pulled in. I got out the car. They said, "Do you have bags in the car?" I said, "Yes." They said, "Okay." And they helped me bring the bags inside of the house. It's just being considerate. And guess what? They helped me bring the bags in the house. And they went back to finish waxing the car. Like, that's just it. It's being considerate. Nobody asked for the history lesson. We all know there are plenty of things that we do and go by today that derived from something totally different. And over time, it has changed and grown. And we have used it to apply to society differently than when it originated. So, Buckaroonie J, Jonathan, whatever your name is, pipe down. Pipe down. Now, call me King. You had something you wanted to say?
I love y'all today. This is going to be fun as hell.
Well, first I want to know, what did you think about the episode? What's
your thoughts, man?
Oh, so no, I actually enjoyed that episode. So here's the thing, like conversations like those need to happen.
Definitely.
We're in an era now where no one wants to have these conversations.
Mm-hmm.
Don't. So I really enjoyed the episode. Not gonna lie to you. Tay looked so cute being frustrated. She was all like, I'm just going, well, I'm just going to say this and let y'all go. I'm just going to say this and let y'all go. Did her thing, and then she like,
One more thing.
And lastly, but not least,
one more thing.
One more thing.
So one more thing.
One more thing. But my favorite part, but what you're not going to do.
She brought it. She was like, now what you not going to do?
That's iconic. That's in the comments too.
Exactly. But what you're not going to do with the finger.
It's always interesting and good. It's very important to make sure that you have these conversations, but you don't have these debates, because that's what they are. They're healthy debates. You don't have healthy debates for the sake of arguing. You don't have them to just prove your point.
Right.
Even arguing it's not arguing if you're doing it this way, but even arguing is good argument if you're doing it with intentions to understand where your partner is coming from and asking your partner to understand where you're coming from. Now, I say partner, I just mean whoever you're conversing with, not like your love interest. So yeah, I love the episode. I love everybody's point of view. I love where everybody's point of view came from, because that's the important part. And so that's why I asked Trim, I was like, yo, let's run this back. Ain't because I want to come over here and seem like I ain't trying to be on a womanizer or the guy downer or nothing like that. It's just one of those conversations that I just feel like deserves another episode. And if I can request something like I can request a radio station, then why not?
Right.
Oh, okay.
I'm glad that you watched it. There are a lot of things in this world that they're just throwing away, like certain things that were, for hundreds of years were important. We're gonna get into one of those things, later on in the show. But there are a few things that like chivalry is another one, because it just seems like things are so blurred now. Like everything is like, all together, it's, and I'm not going to even dive into a lot of that stuff, but, you can look in the world and tell, how, the things that, that was done back in the day is not really being done now, but which is fine. Certain things need to change, certain things need to change because it ain't back in the day anymore, but at the same time, you need to keep some of the basic things, chivalry,
the foundation.
Yeah, because it's important for people to treat women in a certain way. All my friends any guy that I'm friends with, and I choose my friends very, very closely. Like I choose them not closely, but I choose them very well. Like, you know, it's I'm very strategic about the people I hang around with. So anybody who's around me is there because I want them to be there. You know what I mean? And that's just how I am. You know, one of my homies, I can leave my house for 2 months. And I can leave him in my house. And I know it ain't nothing gonna happen. You understand what I'm saying? Like, because I know he gonna treat my wife, you know, in a way where I'm like, okay, I'm good. You know, she ain't got to worry about going to get the groceries. She ain't got to worry about doing this because, you know, that's the kind of people I hang around with, you know, and you know, certain people, you know, that's another thing. You got to watch who you hang around with, because even certain things like chivalry, you know, if that person ain't chivalrous, or if he treating his wife a certain way, you shouldn't be around that person. That's just a sidebar. You know, that kind of stuff rubs off, and it makes you, before you know it, your wife looking at you like, man, you a different person.
First of a feather, you know, yeah. and like, I'm not interrupting, but
no, you good.
I am interrupting, sorry. That is like one of those things that I've always felt like, and that's one of the, you know, when I first started dating very early on, like I had a conversation with a gentleman that I dated, and we dated and, you know, ended up dating for a long time. But he was like, oh, I thought you were just like this person because you know what she do. And you was hanging around her. So I thought you were just like that person. That goes for how females view men. Yeah. If you are hanging around people who idolize certain rappers, or I even think about the things that because you are what you eat. That is not solely for food. That is not solely for things that you put in your mouth physically for nutrients. That is mentally. If you're around negative people, 9 times out of 10, you're a negative person. Mm-hmm. If you are consistently around people that degrade women, that are consistently talking about, especially in my thing with the chivalry thing, if you're around people who consistently, and our Black people who consistently degrade other Black people, or always bringing out I don't want you anywhere near me, my kids, my child. I don't have my baby. But, you know, in the future, I plan to have a family. You really have to be mindful, not just with chivalry, but respect. Chivalry is a action.
Right.
It is you know, it is a taught action. It is not something you either got it or you don't. Even if you are taught that way, you either have it or you don't. It is consideration. It is me telling you that I got it. I can take the time out to be this part, to do this for you because I love you, because I appreciate you. You know, that's not in everybody. So it's just like you were saying, see, you have to surround yourself with what you want to consume, what you want to be, and what you want to be around you. I mean, that's vital. That is so.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of proverbs, even in the Bible, we're talking about just like, you know, talking about the people and the energy that you hang around. But I mean, just you treat whatever you respect in a certain kind of way. If you respect something and, you know, and honor it, you're gonna treat it a certain kind of way. You're gonna take care of it. So it's the same thing with, you know, your approach with the people that you're around, especially and particularly women. You're going to treat them with a certain kind of respect. If you want to, you know, if you respect and honor them, you're going to treat them a certain kind of way.
I want to just touch on something that C said, because it really, like, it sat on my spirit. When you said that we've grown, you know, as a society, we've advanced in certain ways, so they feel like they don't have to acknowledge, or we've gone about as though we should do away with the basic foundations which we were taught growing up. I feel like that probably happened when women had to, you know, fight to make more, fight to have a voice. It's like, okay, so sometimes you're looked at as, okay, well, if you are making more money, so since you want to make more money, you want to have a voice, and you don't want to walk 3 steps behind your husband, then you should be able to open that door for yourself. You should, if you're strong enough to make this money or have this work the same job as I work, then you should be able to lift that box, or you should be able to fix this or fix that, and you don't need a man. Whereas I can be strong enough to have my own voice and do what I need to do for myself, it does not mean that it is not nice for you to be considerate and chivalrous and do the chivalrous thing in certain situations. So just because I have a voice or because I'm making a certain amount of money, it doesn't mean that I'm still not a woman. And sometimes it is nice, not needed, hence the words, that's the difference. It is nice for you to be a man in the situation and step up to the plate.
So is chivalry one way?
It's not.
That I don't agree with. I think it's a two-way street. That, like, if a man honors, respects, and treats his woman a certain kind of way with respect, the same thing should be reciprocated from the woman as well.
That's true. Like that, it is a two-way street. Hence why when we originally had the conversation and he was just like, well, how do I know if I should go do this if you always jump to do it first? Hence, and you can ask him, since that conversation, that has not been an issue. I have stepped back. Listen, when men
everybody in the circle know. They know now.
They know now. Trust me. Like, it has been, but
listen, my wife was like, don't touch that.
Like, it was literally the very next event that we had, and I came through the door and I had like my bag, and he was like, where's your car? And I was like, here's the key, this is here. That was it. I went with the rest of the ladies and helped decorate. But to touch on what you said, it is a two-way street. I believe in that. And I feel like that's when it comes to the aspect of trust, especially if you're talking about in a relationship. Trust is a big part of the two-way street, and respect. Like, I trust you enough and I respect you enough to trust that you're going to do what needs to be done, and I don't have to jump and do it. The trust aspect is missing in a lot of relationships. That's even with the whole submission thing. I was listening to another podcast, and they was like, a lot of times a woman, I hate when they be like, a woman should submit. No. She has to be able to trust you. And 9 times out of 10, if she does not submit, then she does not trust what you're going to do. And she does not trust your decision making and trust that you're going to make the decisions with her and the family in mind. So,
and I often think about my grandparents and their friends and uncles and aunts who have been married for 50, 60, 70 years. A lot of them, everybody knows, relationships, friendships, parenthood, it's the relationship of having a relationship is very difficult. Yeah. Especially in a love relationship, in a kindred, spirit relationship. It's hard because you're two different individuals coming together. A lot of the things that, and this is something me and my cousins were talking about today, ironically enough, a lot of the things that they don't tell us is the problems that they had. The things like, you've been married for 50 years, but there might have been a little infidelity, but he paid a bill.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
That was swept under the rug a lot.
Yeah, and if you don't never find out about it, he had enough respect for you not to bring it home. Like, it's just like, that's, I appreciate chivalry, yes I do, but I don't, there are a lot of things in between that they don't talk about that they consider chivalrous. The fact that I knew my husband was out there doing everything in the world, but he never brought it home to pay the bill. He didn't miss no beats. The kids were always clothed. I didn't have no problems. We never missed this and that. Like, you are bargaining with so much. Nothing is going to be perfect. Mm-hmm. Just because you're a husband doesn't mean you're not human. Nothing's going to be perfect, but I think a lot of times we psych ourselves out. And also, I ain't saying you're supposed to be cheated on or cheating. But at the same time, we give ourselves too much and too little at the same time. Mm-hmm. We have too many requirements. We want him to have all of these things. We want her to have all of these things. But at the same time, we're not willing to change, or we're not willing to alter ourselves. And that's why when he said it's a two-way street, back in the 60s, women, no, they did not work. But I guarantee this. They ironed a week's worth of clothes for the entire family. Mm-hmm. Dinner was cooked, breakfast, 3 meals a day.
I don't want that. Clean. Good on that.
I'm just saying, there were levels. So when you get a power struggle, a lot of times there's confusion because the man is automatically taught to be the leader. Mm-hmm. Be tough. Don't cry. Mm-hmm. Stay strong. Take care of your family. There's a lot of pressure on the household head. And the dynamic has changed so much that a lot of men are not leading anymore. So a lot of women are leading. So when you finally do get a man, there's a power struggle.
But like, what is leading though?